Hi everyone, and welcome back to Case Studies track here at HR Week and the HR Development Day. So we had a 15-minute break. I hope you grabbed a coffee or something to snack on because we have a very good case study coming up. I'm very happy that I have the chance to welcome Đorđe Marićić from Maverick Consulting here today. He's going to be talking about whole brain thinking and making our thinking a competitive advantage. Đorđe, how are you? How's everything?
Good, Masha. Thank you. I got my cup of coffee, so I'm ready to start whenever you are.
Amazing. Okay, so the stage is yours, and see you in approximately 25 minutes.
Okay, looking forward to all the questions, and of course, looking forward that you stick with me and bear with me till the very end. So, first of all, I would like to ask you all to just think about certain things. And during this whole presentation, I would like to think together with me. Have you ever wondered, let's say, do you need a diverse team consisting of professionals who use English as their official language to make them dysfunctional, less productive or efficient? Have you ever felt that total strangers sometimes understand you better than people you know for ages, people you love? Do you know that kids, for example, are more likely to find solutions or unlikely solutions to a problem rather than adults? Well, think about this. We'll come back to this at the very end. But let's get to the point of this presentation. My name is Đorđe Marićić. I'm the founder of Maverick Consulting, father of two, husband, son, and brother, human being like you, who is passionate about whole brain thinking. I want to talk about the benefits of whole brain thinking on personal, team, and organizational level. I want to start to think, or I want you to start thinking on how to create a habit of whole brain thinking. I will speak from personal experience as a learner, a learning program designer, trainer, coach, facilitator who uses needling brain instruments as a basis for all personal, team, and organizational development programs. So let's get into it. First, I need to share what whole brain thinking is to me. Well, bear with me here. For me, whole brain thinking is one's ability to consciously understand thinking processes and to utilize this understanding to further explore possible solutions to challenges, problems that will result in better outcomes. So this is what whole brain thinking is to me. Now, when moving forward, I would like to also ask you another question. For example, do you think it's true that we use 10% of our brain? Since I cannot see your answers here, I'll just answer it for you. No, it's not. Better question here is how we use our brain. And to know how to use it, first we need to understand what science has discovered so far. Well, some of the information that is available pretty much everywhere suggests that human brain or our brain can power a 20-watt light bulb. It may not sound much for a Christmas decoration, yet human brain is able to develop devices that will create much more powerful objects than running on about just 23 watts. A very important research that Roger Sperry did and got a Nobel Prize for it is on explaining the difference between left and the right hemisphere cognition. Many have used his research as a foundation for further understanding of how humans process information and much more. One of those people who leaned on this research was Cobus Needling, Dr. Cobus Needling, who developed needling brain instruments as a battery of instruments that can help us understand how we think, make decisions, learn, lead, teach, parent, and much more. So what needling brain instruments help me is to first understand how I process information personally and what makes me energized or frustrated. Actually, why certain things or certain people, situations make me feel one way or the other. Needling's instrument helped me to create a habit of thinking through 8 dimensions when necessary. Sometimes I'm even told that I'm overthinking things, but my response to it is that I just try to explore if there are more opportunities or options than just one solution. So what are personal benefits of whole brain thinking? I'll tell you a story of one of my clients. Let's call him John. He had a similar challenge understanding why certain things make him feel frustrated. He is very passionate about his work and dedicated to his family, community, and faith, making sure to think through every single detail and trying, therefore, to control everything. Once we did his NBI profile, we learned that his preferences are people-oriented, yet specific kind of people, oriented to people who are capable of showing empathy and sharing emotions, but be respectful of timeliness, people who are practical and action-oriented. He was overwhelmed with emotions, yet frustrated with lack a sense of timeliness from some people and some people's ability to focus on important things. As someone who is relationship driven, John was frustrated when he has been rising since he was unable to control situations or other people's behavior. So his frustration was always rising in those kind of situations that he cannot control. So what we did, we took a look at his thinking preferences, but put them into a context of circle of influence. I'm sure many of you have read Stephen Covey's book, where this comes from. And we developed then a priority list with specific actions, actually when and to what to say no to start with. It took him about 6 months to create a habit of distinguishing whether system 1 or system 2 is active, or which hemisphere, in his case, is more active in which situation. After those 6 months and constant work on his goals, he sent me an email. And this is what his email said. Believe it or not, I just celebrated 6 months of my stress-free life. I also did not become less committed nor dedicated to my job and family life. I just decided to change the course of my energy towards living the present, putting boundaries, saying more often no, pleasing less others, not resisting to failings, and not resisting to reality, trying my best, but also accepting failings as something that can happen, and finally being a little bit nicer to myself and more me time. His email made me feel warm around my heart and proving that we are doing the right thing. Now, let's take this John, if he is a member of a team, which he is, and imagine that how he would influence his team if he continued to pile up his frustration. John would most likely turn into a negative person, undermining any effort to change the status quo, disconnecting from other team members over time and becoming more passive aggressive probably, or lean towards quiet quitting. So utilizing the whole brain thinking approach to personal life and work, John managed to balance his life and his team's workload. He became more constructive in conflict situations, a better role model to his team, and more efficient and productive. So over the last decade, working with people like John and with diverse teams from different industries, we have discovered that no matter how specific their job, their culture, social, or even political environment is, they're all human beings. Imagine that. We all strive for human relationships. According to research Google did in 2015, I'm also convinced that some of you have read this research as an important one, on what makes a successful team, What matters more than who is on the team in the sense of expertise and accomplishments is how they interact, structure their work, and perceive their contribution. Consequently, psychological safety is the #1 prerequisite for a successful team. Besides understanding thinking preferences, we use the needling brain instruments to create such an environment where all team members can feel safe and appreciate it. Understanding that we all have different perspectives, feelings, reactions, opinions on the same thing creates aha moments. Team members begin to realize that those differences are actually assets instead of obstacles that will enable them to fulfill team goals. They begin to understand the need for the whole brain thinking approach to overcome communication barriers and to discover what more they can do together, building healthy human relationships. This way, it was also easier for John to accept why some of his colleagues are just not aware of time and found a way to meet them halfway so their project does not suffer. Consequently, we teach teams how to approach challenges or problems from a whole brain perspective in a most efficient way. Or to paraphrase Woodrow Wilson, we teach or support teams to use all the brain power available. Now, if we put this further, how we use the NBI, we help organizations to create teams out of groups. And we also make sure that they think as a whole brain thinkers once we're out of the picture. We make sure that each team member is being challenged, actually that their brains, both hemispheres, are being challenged at all times when engaging in brainstorming, when having to make important decisions, or create realistic and actionable plans, when negotiating or selling their products or services. With this approach, we managed to create a team out of a group of people from different companies, actually to some extent competitors. We gather about twice a year. Each time we spend about 3 days together. Members have changed since we started more than 5 years ago, but each new member was able to feel safe, understanding the importance of applying the whole brain thinking in everyday life and work. Participants of this development program influence their management to create a similar program for their organization. Now let's look at another company and their management we worked with. About 15 managers from different parts of a country with similar academic background, or actually technical academic background. Youngest is about 25, oldest 50 plus. Each of them responsible for different processes that are interdependent. And now let's just take generational gap into consideration. But just before we do that, I just want to make clear here that we're not putting people into boxes. And what we are doing now is just exaggerating for descriptive purposes and to make it feel what there is to understand and to feel. So let's take this new generation engineer. We have a fresh out of college engineer or management level person with a smartphone glued to their hand and wanting to apply improvements immediately whenever they can. And they see a lot of areas for digital improvements, at least so they can feel they make a difference by bringing better results. And actually, they are already ready to live in 22nd century. On the other side of this generational gap, we have a saw-it-all engineers who are looking to get the job done as they had for the last 2 decades. They're not convinced that change will happen. Thus, change is bad because they had a lot of experience with people trying to make things for better, and they feel more safe if they play the same old tune because they know no matter how much they try, the results will not change. And when we look at that, just generational gap, this is only one possible layer of many other generational, cultural, social, academic, and experiential differences that is really hard to overcome. And of course, it is. However, if we go back to we're all human beings who should be able to communicate their thoughts and feelings to work better together to build human relationships at work, overcoming this gap can be much easier. Therefore, our approach was to have them all understand how their brain works. Of course, that was the first step, but even more importantly to us was that they share their reports of their NBI reports with all their participating colleagues. Why so? Well, because it makes it easier to communicate with someone when you understand own and their thinking preferences. It is easier to exchange perspectives, solve conflicts, explore opportunities, and give constructive feedback when you see that constructive feedback. It's much easier than to appreciate concerns of others, of your colleagues, as well as their enthusiasm. It also becomes easier to share more than just work with your colleagues when necessary. And of course, it is easier when you are able to use the Needling Brain instruments as a whole brain thinking model. Now, for this management team, it became more clear about each other's roles once they started that, and of course, responsibilities they have, as well as that they need to create an atmosphere to better and more efficiently manage their production processes, but also how to learn from those processes from each other and to exchange their knowledge. One of those needs, important needs for them, was also establishing HR processes and HR as a function. Even more, the most important need that they have identified is their personal development on how to manage and lead teams, as they have all realized that being in charge is much more about managing relationships than just technical competencies. So once we understand own thinking preferences, it's easier to understand also own behavior and feelings. And then it's also easier to manage self, but also to help others to manage themselves by setting clear priorities, establishing human-to-human relationships, professional relationships, making more realistic plans, being more accountable, finding creative and innovative solutions to problems of today and tomorrow. In other words, making impossible possible. And by creating a human-centric culture using our 23-watt brain power to answer what, why, how, when, and who is important for our business success. Now the question is how to start this? Well, to try how whole brain thinking model works, try to sit down with one or two people you disagree with on some important topic. Make sure you listen carefully after asking them several questions, several why questions, such as, why is this topic so important to you? Why do you feel the way you feel when you talk about this topic? Then use the what, how, when, and who questions, such as, what would make you feel more comfortable about this issue in the future? How would you like to resolve it? When would be the best time to deal with this issue? Who else could benefit or help us with this issue? Now, consider also this, that even when you're confident you're right about something, ask people in your team about their opinion as well. Once more, because you may realize, although you made same conclusions, reasons behind those conclusions could be very different. So it can lead you to much more findings and options to new situations or even current situations. Now, let me be very brief towards the end and share a story from our communication and sales development program to demonstrate how whole brain thinking works in practice. We were visiting a potential client, actually not the one that we talked and had agreed on that meeting, rather to his subordinate that we never met or talked to. And what we wanted to start with is with the why. Why did he accept to see us or to meet with us? When we asked that question, the answer we got from this client gave us an opportunity to ask, okay, but why did you look for that particular product or service? What did you want to accomplish with it? How did you try to accomplish? Who is using this product or service? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With all those questions from both left and right hemispheres, we managed to, during that meeting, calculate what would be a return of the investment if they would decide to get the products or services from my clients. So if you start with a why and continue with open questions, you'll get the whole brain thinking pattern rolling. Now, let me go back to, have you ever wondered how can there be misunderstanding when speaking same language? Well, more often it's because we are focused on delivering our message rather than listening. How come that strangers understand me better? Well, if we think thoroughly, probably they're interested in understanding differences and they have nothing to lose from the relationship because it's going to be brief anyway. And how come that kids are smarter than adults? According to Alison Gopnik from University of California, Berkeley, kids are more focused on exploring the world and not on what cannot be done. They keep trying until successful, thus finding unlikely solutions to a problem. And I'm also witness to that as a father of two, because everything that I see from my kids, how they fight challenges, I learn from them. So to wrap it up, my name is Đorđe Marićić. I'm a human being, father of two, husband, and passionate about whole brain thinking. If you're looking for human-centric solutions, feel free to connect with us. There are more than 2,000 MBI practitioners worldwide and more than 24 directly connected to Maverick Consulting in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Italy, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Serbia. To learn more about whole brain thinking or NBI, you can visit our webpage or two of our web pages, and you can also connect directly with me.
Amazing, Đorđe. Thank you very much. So we have a question coming in from the audience which stood out the most, and that's maybe the way we can reduce the gap between generations, and the gap meaning the gap in thinking.
First is to sit down, talk, or actually listen. Let's just listen. Let's just ask those questions. Why do you think that way? Why do you feel that way? What would make you happy? Why is this making you happy? Just to understand the reasons behind certain actions or certain behavior. Why do they have different attitude? I'm saying they. Why some people are having different attitude, presenting different generations? Why are some people are more strict, or the older generations are more strict when it comes to time, let's say, but younger generations are strict when it comes to time only when they want solutions, and that's now. That's instant. I see another question here.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions coming in. So yeah,
well, thank you.
The next one is, assuming that the younger ones are taking over, what is the best way for the older generations to adopt the new way of doing business?
I can just say from personal experience, it's again asking and trying. So it's being a kid again, in a way. So we ask to understand younger generations, why are they doing certain things the way they are doing it, why they think that way, and then maybe why not? Let's just try tools. Let's just try certain things that younger generations are doing, and let's see how we're going to feel. But first of all, we need to establish that trust between those generations, that it all comes with good intention. And if we know that, why not? Why not? Why not to try something that might seem foolish, might seem even inappropriate, but if we're in a controlled environment, then it should be easier.
Amazing. Okay, so we don't have any time left. I'm very happy that you were here to share your insights and everything that stands behind whole brain thinking. I hope that our audience had a lot of fun and learned new things. Đorđe, thanks again for joining us, and see you guys very soon on the next program.
Thank you all very much, and make sure to connect on LinkedIn. Masha, thank you, and of course, thank the whole HR team, HR World team.
Thank
Have
you
a blast.
Bye.